Hey there. Today I'm going to be talking about foot pain. Okay, we're going to talk about the most common causes and why this is such a common problem that we see in people today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Matt Moreno. I'm a sports chiropractor with years of experience working in professional sports. Everything I share is based off of things that I've actually seen work when helping my patients get out of pain and move better. All right, like I said, I'm going to be talking about the foot today. So, foot pain is one of the most common problems I see both in my professional athletes and in my patients at the clinic. Now, if you've seen my stuff, you know that I like to look at any kind of problem through the lens of these joints have a job to do. And if those joints don't do the job properly, the forces that they're supposed to be handling get moved somewhere else in the chain and it causes problems there. Okay. So when we're dealing with foot pain, there's three main joints that I like to look at. Okay. The foot itself, the ankle, and the hip. And we'll break those down here in a second. But um, if any of those joints aren't doing their job properly, that's typically one of the reasons that we see some of these chronic foot problems. Again, whether that's plantar fasciitis or toe pain, heel pain, Achilles tendonitis, even, those all kind of stem from similar problems. Okay, so for the foot itself, its job is to be stable. It's meant to be rigid and to transmit forces through it. Okay, one of the common problems we see that makes people lose some of that stiffness or rigidity in the foot is shoes, and specifically orthotics too. Both of these things, if we see commonly that people have shoes that are too tight, too cushy, too supportive, and these things prevent the foot from actually acting like a foot. The foot is supposed to, move. Your toes are supposed to move. You're supposed to fire your muscles to keep your arch up. And if you have shoes that are too supportive and prevent that arch, or it basically does the job of the arch for the muscles, so the muscles don't have to fire and they get weak over time. It's a really common problem we see. Um, Later, we'll go over an exercise that can help kind of build up some rigidity in the foot again, but that's one of the joints that we're looking at. The other joints, the ankle and the hip, are less commonly thought of to give us foot problems, but one of the main reasons they give us those issues is because of something called the posterior chain fascia. So there's essentially a group of soft tissue that runs from our low back down, even from the back of our head, but the part we're looking at is from the back of our hip down to the bottom of the foot. And if the ankle and the hip, which are meant to be very mobile joints, lose some of that mobility, because of the connection of the posterior chain fascia, the tension that should have been held through the hip and the ankle moves down to the bottom of the foot, and that's one of the more common causes of plantar fasciitis that we see. Okay, so when I'm dealing with any kind of foot problem, typically I will work on ankle range of motion, I'll work on hip range of motion, but like I said, today we're going to be going over foot stability exercises. And specifically, we're going to do something called toe yoga. So if you look down at my foot here, the toes, when we have shoes that are too tight and narrow, they get kind of crunched up and they don't do their jobs properly. So this is going to be an exercise to teach them to move and splay and control a little bit better, that will help build some rigidity in the foot. All right, so this is how we do toe yoga. Now, the goal of this exercise is to be able to control the muscles of the toes. Those toe muscles are what help hold up the arch and help give the foot some of its stability. So what we're going to do here, the goal is to be able to lift the big toe and the little toes independently of each other, just like this. Okay? Now, when we do this, a lot of times when people first start doing this, they have a lot of difficulty. So that's perfectly normal. Some people can't do it at all at first, so I'll show you how we can help with that. But when we're doing it, the main thing we want to focus on is keeping the ball of the foot down in the ground so that we're not just like lifting the foot up to the side. Okay. So see how the ball of my foot is down in the ground when we lift up the big toe. Okay. And then we want to make sure that we're getting good contraction with each of these. So like with this one, we're getting a good squeeze in these toes as we lift them up. I can feel the bottom of my arch activating when I push this toe down into the ground. And then same thing the other way. These guys are squeezing down into the ground. This guy, I can feel a good squeeze in the back of my toe. Okay. Now, if you have trouble with this, which a lot of people do, one thing you can do is pin down these little toes like this, and then just lift up all your toes. Okay. And then you should start to be able to feel what that feels like just to fire this muscle, the muscle of the big toe. Okay. And then from there, try to push these toes down into the ground. Okay, it takes a second just to get used to it, but practice is really how we get better at this. Um, okay, and then same thing the opposite way. If you want to get the big toe down and little toes up, you can just pin that big toe down while we lift those little toes up, and that helps you get a better feeling of what it feels like to separate the two. Okay, and then over time you just slowly take away your hand and get used to doing it without. Now, you most likely will cramp in the arch when you start doing these. That's very normal. It's just a sign that we need to practice those a little bit more. Okay, but this is one of my favorite exercises for getting control of the toes and also stabilizing the arch of the foot. But hopefully this teaches you how to use the foot a little bit better, helps you understand foot pain a little bit more. If you found this helpful and you like this kind of information, please like and subscribe to the channel. It actually helps me more than you know.